Johnny Talk Sports, here with my Week 2 NFL predictions. Week 1 was a decent week. I went 10-5 overall. That was kind of a little bit where I thought I was going to be. My goal was to get 11, but to get 10 is still good. Considering that the Buccaneers and Dolphins was postponed due to the Hurricane Irma, that could have been the 11th win, as I picked the Buccaneers to win that game. I feel like if that game was played, I do believe the Buccaneers would have won. But I'll take a 10-5 record in Week 1, because Week 1 is kind of unpredictable, with teams stepping onto the field for the first time of the year, and all the starters are playing the whole game. Instead of preseason, we're only playing 2 drives, or maybe 3 drives. But still, let's get to the Week 2 predictions. The Thursday night game is where we're going to start, as we do every single time. The Houston Texans take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, both these teams need a win after humiliating losses last week. Houston losing 29-7 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Cincinnati Bengals, who were shut out by the Baltimore Ravens 20-0 at home. But in this matchup, I do like the Bengals. I just feel like if their defense can get some pressure on the Texans' offense, I think Cincinnati can win this game. It will be a long night for the Texans' offense again, as the Houston Texans' offensive line gave up 10 sacks to the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. So I'm going to take Cincinnati in this one. This one's kind of a toss-up to me because both teams didn't look so impressive in Week 1, but I'm going to give the edge to Cincinnati. Buffalo and Carolina, I'm picking the Panthers in this one. I just think that the Bills won't be able to match up to the Panthers' tempo. Chicago and Tampa Bay, I'm going with the Buccaneers. I almost thought of picking Chicago because they looked pretty impressive against my Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. They did a lot better than I thought they were going to do. But I just feel like Tampa Bay is going to have some motivation in this game. They're going to play the chip on their shoulder, kind of like how the Texans were, how they were excited to play, had the chip on their shoulder, wanted to play for the fans. I think Tampa Bay is going to do the same thing. Although, could we see a similar result, though? Like, could just the appreciation for the game, will that really distract the Buccaneers? I think it won't. If Chicago wins this game, I'm not going to be surprised at all. I still think Tampa Bay will win. Minnesota and Pittsburgh. Now, the Vikings looked really good against the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. But the Saints' defense was still weak. And they're playing a better defense this week in the Steelers. But I think the Vikings pick up a road win. I just kind of like what I see out of that offense. Sam Bradford, he's looked really improved so far this season. He had a great Week 1. I feel like if he still looks for Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, Dalvin Cook and the Dalvin Cook screen passes, I think this Vikings offense can be really lethal this year. Vikings should have the most underrated offense, kind of an offense that flies under the radar. I'm picking the Vikings to win on the road. And that is my lock of the week. Arizona versus Indianapolis. Now, the Cardinals have lost David Johnson for at least the next 2 to 3 months. The Colts, Andrew Luck has already been ruled out. So I'm going to favor the Cardinals in this matchup because how the Colts looked against the Rams this past weekend without Andrew Luck, it was an embarrassment. It was a clown show. And I'm going to pick the Cardinals to win. That's also another lock of the week, but I didn't want to make it easy. New Orleans and New England. The Patriots going on the road to New Orleans in the Superdome. Saints having a home game. I like this to be an offensive battle. I mean, it'll surprise me if both quarterbacks don't throw for at least 350 yards in this game. I think it's going to be a long afternoon for defensive coordinators and defensive players. But in the end, I'm going to favor the Patriots. I feel like they're going to have a chip on their shoulder after the humiliation to start the season, losing at home to the Chiefs on the banner-raising night. I think New England plays with a chip on their shoulder and gets the W. Cleveland versus Baltimore. Now, Baltimore really surprised me shutting out the Bengals on the road. But Cleveland, they put up a decent fight against the Steelers, only losing 21-18. But I'm still going to pick Baltimore. I just feel like I just feel like that offense. I feel like that offense can really pull off some production as well. Kind of like the Vikings offense a bit. Maybe the Baltimore Ravens will have an offense that nobody really talks about. But Danny Woodhead's going to miss some time. Terrence West and Buck Allen, they're going to get some carries. I think the Ravens will beat the Browns. That could have been another lock of the week, but again, didn't want to make it too easy. Philadelphia and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the Chiefs, they're looking red hot after a dominating performance in Week 1 over the New England Patriots. The Eagles have been they looked really good defensively against the Redskins. But I've got to pick Kansas City. I do understand that Eric Berry is out for the season with a torn Achilles, and their safety spot's going to be kind of a missing puzzle piece for the rest of the year. But I think Kansas City, I think they play off the home crowd. Arrowhead Stadium, loudest stadium in the NFL. I think the Chiefs pick up the W, but I think it's going to be closer than what people think. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it'll be a double-digit victory. I think the Eagles are really pushing to the limits. In fact, I see this being a defensive battle early, but I think the Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, those two young players are going to be a big difference in this game, a massive difference. So I'm picking Kansas City. Tennessee versus Jacksonville. And by the way, Kansas City, another lock this week. Now the Titans had a double-digit loss to the Raiders in an opening weekend. The Jacksonville Jaguars are feeling really confident after a 29-7 victory over the Texans. But I'm going to pick the Tennessee Titans. I want to pick the Jaguars, but I just am worried with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Every time we talk about how good they can be, every time we get on the hype train about the Jacksonville Jaguars, they just disappoint. And I got a feeling that this might just be a one-hit wonder game. I'm picking the Titans. New York Jets versus the Oakland Raiders. Now I'm picking the Raiders in this one because we all know the Jets are probably going to try to tank. Moving on, Miami versus the LA Chargers. Now the LA Chargers lost a heartbreaker in Monday Night Football. They were down by 17 in the fourth quarter, got it to within 3. They originally had the game tied, but Vance Joseph, the Denver Broncos coach, called a timeout to ice their new kicker, and it was blocked the second time. And I think the Chargers, they're really going to play the chip on their shoulder, especially their first home game of the year against the Dolphins, who haven't even stepped on the field yet. And I think the Chargers take advantage of that. I think the Dolphins come out too rusty in this game. I'm picking the Chargers to win this one. I don't know by how much, but I can tell you the Chargers will win. That's another lock of the week. Dallas versus Denver. The Cowboys and the Broncos. Now this is going to be a good matchup. The Cowboys defense looked really good against the Giants on Sunday Night Football, but the Giants didn't have Odell Beckham. We're going to talk about that on the Monday Night Football matchup when we get there. But Denver's defense is the heart and soul of that team right now. And I'm picking the Cowboys because I just feel like they're just due to the ground and pound with Zeke Elliott. I feel like he'll be a major difference maker. I feel like if the Broncos can force Dak Prescott to throw the ball and they can eliminate the running game of Zeke Elliott, or at least contain it, I think the Broncos have a chance, but I don't see that happening. I see the Cowboys gassing the Broncos defense early in this matchup. I think the Cowboys are going to run away with this toward the end. Now we got the 49ers and the Seahawks. I'm picking the Seahawks, although the Seahawks historically struggle in division games. It's typically kind of low scoring. Seattle's offensive line is still not evident of making any progress. Seahawks didn't score a single touchdown against the Packers. They were held to just 3 field goals. But I still think the Seahawks are going to get this win over the 49ers. Even though the Seahawks struggle in divisional games, they do their best in playing the 49ers. So I'm going to pick Seattle to win. Green Bay and Atlanta. Now this is, in my opinion, the game of the week. In fact, as it should be. The Falcons have their first home game of the year in a new stadium. And the Packers are coming off a pretty convincing win. Impressive defense performance by the Packers. against the Seahawks opening weekend. But I'm picking Atlanta, but no bias here. I just feel like the Falcons they're kind of more balanced and they're more faster than the Packers right now. I feel like their defense is kind of underrated. Their defense got 4 sacks last week, including one to ice the game on 4th and goal. I feel like that defensive front, the front four, Brooks, Reed, Vic Beasley, I think those two are going to be a huge difference in this game. If they can force pressure on Aaron Rodgers early, I think it could be a long night for the Packers. But I see this being an offensive battle. I think the Falcons win 42-34. And finally, Monday Night Football, the Detroit Lions versus the New York Giants. Now, the question is, will Odell Beckham play? Will he not play again this week because of the ankle that he broke in preseason? He's needed some extra time off. But if Odell Beckham doesn't play, it's evident that the Giants will not have a chance in this matchup because we saw what happened against the Cowboys. They only had one good drive in that game, and they only set up for 3 points. So what it seems like is Odell Beckham is the heart and soul of that team, which we all know already. But I think it's not going to matter whether he plays or not. Because I think Detroit, I think they're riding high, especially Matthew Stafford with the new contract, making him the highest paid quarterback in the league. I think he keeps it up. I think Detroit will win this game. But if Odell Beckham plays, it might be close. I'd say maybe be in the range of maybe 7 to 12 points. But if he doesn't play, I'm thinking the Lions are just going to go out and they're going to dominate, probably theoretically like 35-3 or 35-10. I think the Giants will get 1 touchdown this, even if Odell Beckham doesn't play. But I think if he doesn't, the Detroit Lions will dominate this matchup. So those are my Week 2 picks. I'm picking Cincinnati, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Arizona, New England, Baltimore, Kansas City, Tennessee, Oakland, the LA Chargers, the Dallas Cowboys, Seattle, Washington, the Atlanta Falcons, and Detroit. So comment your picks down below, like and subscribe to the channel, share this video with friends and family. I will see you next time. Have a great day, everyone.